This is a Mark II CARWOW Leon CUPRA R, and in this video I'll be looking at the interior, testing out its practicality, taking it for a test drive and let you know why this could be one of the best second-hand cars you can buy in the hot hatch market today. Now, I'm not Matt Watson and this isn't CARWOW, this is Kev at North Coast Workshop, but I did ask Matt Watson actually if I could do this kind of theme of this video for a CARWOW style video of the Leon CUPRA R, and he replied very politely back to me saying, yep, as long as you leave us a link down below in the descriptions. So CARWOW, the professionals, and Matt Watson himself, I'll leave the links down below for both those channels if you want to go and check them out. You probably follow them already because they're a very well-known brand across the UK and the world. Now overall I quite like the look of the Mark II Leon. It's kind of marketed as the sportier version of the Mark V Golf. You'll notice here on the CUPRA R version that it shares a lot of the similar parts as the standard CUPRA version. So it's the same CUPRA bumper here, and you've got the 3 cutouts across the front. And they also have for the CUPRA R version the R badging on the front grille and on the rear boot. The CUPRA bumper is pretty aggressive looking in itself, but then it can add a lower lip spoiler like I've got one here, which adds a bit more depth to the front bumper, because if you stand back and look at the car, the front bumper tends to look like it's a little bit too high off the ground. This car also comes with the factory xenon lights as well, with an adaptive cornering function. Now going down the side of the car here, we have these 19-inch Potenza alloy wheels, and these house these massive 345mm brake discs at the front with red calipers from factory. Now there's no 2-pot or 4-pot versions of these calipers from factory, they're just single 1-piston calipers. Because of the size of the brake discs, they do provide very good braking power. Strangely, there's no side skirts fitted to this vehicle like you do get on the cars from factory that have the British Touring Car kit fitted to them as standard. And on the CUPRA R, like all Mark II Leons, you still get the rear door handles on the window section itself rather than on the door, and this can sometimes fool rear passengers when they approach the car where the actual door handle is. The sport suspension on the Mark II Leon CUPRA R has been lowered slightly over the standard Mark II Leon, but from standard I think this still looks a little bit high. This car has been lowered a further 30mm on sport suspension, which I think the look of this car now should have been what it was like when it came out of factory. Now at the rear of the car here we've got this gloss black boot spoiler. Working our way down we've got these circular LED tail lights. Now you can also get TIC lights for this car as well. Going down to the bumper, this wide CUPRA bumper. On the CUPRA versions the exhaust would come out the side of the bumper, but on the CUPRA R versions as standard you get this twin exit style exhaust. Now I've upgraded mine to a full stainless turbo back system from Cobra on my car, and we'll get a wee sound check of that later on. So overall the CUPRA R is a very sporty looking car, and in the yellow colour it's a magnet for flies as well, sadly. But which do you prefer the look of? Do you prefer the look of this car from 14 years ago, or you've also got the Scirocco R, the Golf R or the Audi S3? Let me know down below in the comments. The initial CARWOW Leon launched back in 1999 and was a hatchback version of the CARWOW Toledo. It was based in the Volkswagen Group's PQ34 platform, and as such shared many components in common with other VW Group models such as the Volkswagen Golf Mark IV, the Bora and the Audi A3. The Mark I Leon CUPRA R first surfaced with 207 brake horsepower, but this was later upped to 221 brake horsepower. In some countries there's also a CUPRA 4 which are equipped with a 2.8 litre VR6 engine delivering 201 brake horsepower, and with 4-wheel drive that was also found in the Golf. And in Switzerland they had an even more powerful version, officially tuned by ABT Sportsline, producing a staggering 276 brake horsepower. The Mark II Leon began production in 2005, with the Mark I ceasing production in 2006. During the Mark II's lifetime there were many variants, including the FR models, a limited edition K1 model that only released over here in the UK during 2008. This used the same 237 brake horsepower engine from the CUPRA and was instantly distinguishable by its chrome-tipped centre exit exhaust system. The standard CUPRA model was available throughout the Mark II's lifespan and had slight styling changes made to it in line with the facelift the Leon received in 2009. And then the range-topping CUPRA R version, released in 2010 and stopped in 2012 when the Mark III Leon took over. The Mark II Leon CUPRA R had subtle styling changes over the facelift of Cupra, and power was increased slightly to 261 brake horsepower, matching that of the Audi S3, the Golf and Scirocco R, all sharing the same 2-litre TFSI engine. So overall the interior design of the Mark II Leon still holds up fairly well in today's standards, and you've got manual proper buttons for the heater controls here, unlike some cars today which are all getting hidden amongst touchscreen controls instead. One thing to note is in the CUPRA models the black headlining, unless it's a sunroof, does make the car quite dark in here because all the trim is black as well. It makes it look quite sporty and a nice interior to be in, but just be aware that it is a very dark environment. Now the steering wheel has a flat bottom on it in the CUPRA and CUPRA R models, and you also get steering wheel mounted controls as well for all your infotainment system and your controls on the dashboard. Now the glove box is of a decent size, although mine is full of rubbish here just now, and you've also got the key switch as well for turning the passenger side airbag off if you want to. Down the centre console here we do have your USB and auxiliary inputs at the front behind these wee covers. You have a small cup holder here which isn't really much use because you have got the top of the dashboard getting in the way here as well. And then working our way back, you do have a 12-volt socket normally here in this position, but I've then upgraded to a USB socket instead. Now some models did come from factory with an armrest in the centre here as well. This car doesn't have it, and if you're looking to buy a second-hand armrest now, say on Facebook, you're looking at about £250 for a good one. Now for the door pockets, now these aren't great on this car at all. You can probably fit a can of Monster in there at the front. Doesn't really have a place for it to actually sit without falling back, so if you accelerate hard, do make sure your drink's being kept safely. And if you have larger bottles like this, there's just not really any chance. They sit there, but not great. And it's the same story for the cup holders mentioned earlier on. So again, the big bottle will not fit into the two smaller holes. It will fit in the larger pocket at the back, and it will comfortably hold the can of Monster and the other two cup holders. And then the overall quality of the interior, so there's loads of scratchy plastic everywhere, not just low down, but also high up along the top of the door cards as well. And on the dashboard, you've got slightly softer touch material around this top part of the dashboard, but the majority of surfaces are black scratchy plastic, I'm afraid. And then the infotainment system, so you get a touchscreen infotainment here as standard on the MK2 Leon CUPRA R with a CD player and sat-nav included as well. You also have those automatic xenon headlights. And then the standard on the CUPRA R was these really nice black leather diamond stitched seats. For your seating position, you can raise and lower the driver's seat. You can pull it backwards and forwards plenty as well. Get yourself in a really good distance from the wheel. And as for the wheel itself, you can then lower it, raise it and pull it towards you and away from you as well. So there's plenty of adjustment to get a proper good driving position. Just be aware that because these seats are bolstered on the sides, you might notice some wear over time with the side bolsters because you're getting in and out of the car. Passenger side obviously won't be getting used as much, so it won't be as bad, but my driver's side over the years has definitely suffered. Now leaving this seat in my normal driving position, I'm going to jump into the back seat of the car to show you the space. So rear space, as you can see, is pretty cramped. You have got these backs on the seats which are this nice shiny gloss black plastic, but these do eat into a bit of space, so my knees are pretty much touching the back of the seat here. As for creature comforts, you've got no rear USB sockets at all, I'm afraid. You have got that one square cubby at the front where you can put stuff in, which is quite handy because on the doors themselves there's no doors pockets at all. Again, I said before, scratchy black plastic everywhere, nothing soft really at all apart from the door inserts. And if it was just two adults in the back here, there is no centre armrest to come down at all. And having three in the back, three adults would definitely be a squeeze. You'd be bumping shoulders through the whole journey. Now, as nice as these seat backs are on the car and they look really good, if you do have kids in the car, be warned because their feet have a good chance of catching the back of the seat and scuffing it quite badly. Or what they could do, in my instance, is my 5-year-old daughter has decorated the back of my seat with these unicorn stickers. To be honest, this helps protect the seat at the moment. Now, talking of children, let's try and fit a car seat. Now, car seats like this aren't too bad, but you do have to push these cushions down at the back to see the ISOFIX points, and then click in your seat either side. And then there is anchor points in the boot, which you can then latch the seat to as well. Overall, the back of the car isn't too bad a place to be if you're of a smaller size. For adults, it's definitely a squeeze. And also for adults and teenagers, sat on the rear bench, it's quite a shiny leather plastic bench. There's no indentations in it, so on a spirited drive around corners, your passengers might feel that they're sliding around on the back there. But for children in car seats, they'll have no issue at all. Now for the boot. Now, the boot on this car holds 341 litres. And versus its rivals from that period of 2010, the Golf has 350 litres and the Focus had 385 litres. Now the shape of the boot opening is obviously decent size, but there is a massive drop down onto the boot floor itself, so very high load lip whether you're pulling luggage in and out. And then inside the boot you've got some netting down the side here for storage, and we've also got 4 anchor points in each corner of the boot as well, which can also be used to secure your child seat. Now the floor itself is just a very flimsy bit of cardboard with some carpet on top, but you can buy aftermarket kind of boot liners for this car. I'll leave a link down below in the description and a picture on screen just now to show you what that's like, and I'd recommend you get them obviously. Just protect the inside of the boot if you were to get this car, and also just makes it a bit more hard wearing as well, because this carpet really isn't up to much at all. Now with the parcel shelf out the way, the rear seats can be folded down with a 60-40 split. But then you will notice there's a very high ridge in the boot floor then, so pushing things to the front of that space is going to be very tricky indeed. So talking of annoying things like that, here's 5 bad things about this car. The rear quarter windows in the back of the car aren't actually made from glass, made from plastic, and because of that they get damaged by UV rays over the years and have this horrible scratched effect after time. Now the keys have a button on them to open the boot, but when you hold it, it only pops the boot open this far. You then have to walk up to the car and open it manually, so it kind of seems pointless. I've put automatic struts on mine so it opens itself, but as standard, it's a bit of a nuisance feature. You'll find that if you ever have the passenger side seatbelt lowered all the way down to the bottom, when you're driving along and it's bumpy, you'll hear this gently tapping away on the plastic trim. Very annoying. Now, as good as these brakes look and how powerful they are at high speeds with their braking power, at lower speeds around town you'll find that they're extremely grabby and it's very hard to drive smoothly. If you have a child seat fitted to the back of the car for a length of time, you might find when you remove it, there's bad indentations in the cushion of the car seat, and these might never come out at all. It's not all bad though. Here's 5 good things about the Seat Leon CUPRA R. The CUPRA R is fitted with an electronic system called XDS, and basically this imitates a limited slip differential, so what it will do is when you're cornering really hard, it will brake the inside wheel slightly to help you turn in a bit better. The 2-litre TFSI engine that's found in the CUPRA and CUPRA R models is a very common engine across the range of Seats, Volkswagens, Audis and Skodas. It's a very good engine as long as it's looked after, and it's a very tunable engine as well. With some basic hardware mods you can get about 400 brake horsepower out of these engines. This sat-nav in the car can be handily updated with a £35 SD card rather than any expensive trips to the dealership. And the vanity mirrors in the front of the car handily have some lights so I can apply my makeup in the dark. I initially thought that if you want to remove the parcel shelf and store it somewhere in the boot, there was nowhere to store it, but once you pop it out, you'll notice there's 2 indentations either side of the boot, at the bottom there, and the parcel shelf fits in nicely. So what's the car like out the road? Well, around town it's not too bad at all. It's electrically power assisted steering, so it's fairly light going around town and manoeuvring in parking spaces. Like I said before, the brakes are quite grabby, so at slower speeds trying to approach a roundabout or junction slowly, you can feel the brakes kind of grab the car quite quickly. As for visibility, so around town and for out the road, you've got a rear large window that you can see at the back of there, you have the wee side quarter windows, and generally there's quite a lot of glass around the whole of the car. Now as for comfort, well, around town the car can be quite crashy, especially the CUPRA R on these 19-inch alloy wheels, and because of that slither of rubber for the low profile tyres, there is like a lot of kind of intrusion into the cabin through bumps and potholes around town. Out the road generally the car rides fairly well on the wheels and the suspension setup as long as the roads are fairly smooth. If you do have kind of crashy bumps and dips in the road or potholes or wee bits of uneven surface, you will feel that through the car, and a lot of road noise actually as well. Those tyres let in lots of road noise, a kind of loud roar of the tyres if the surface isn't dead smooth. Now noise from the engine and exhaust system, if you're getting a standard car that's just got a standard airbox and filter and a standard exhaust system, it's not too loud at all. You're hearing a lot of noise off my induction kit and my aftermarket exhaust, so hence why there's a lot more noise off this engine compared to a standard one. Now as for performance, this car definitely has enough of it out of the factory. Now as performance, this car from standard at the factory has plenty of it. It's got a 6-speed gearbox and it pulls really well in every single gear. Even at lower speeds in 5th and 6th gear, it will pull away smoothly as well. And as you expect with 261 brake horsepower, just need to look for your space, drop a couple of cogs, effortless to overtake. Generally though, out on the road, on a smooth surface like this, it's a joy to drive. It rides really smoothly and it actually turns quite decent miles to the gallon as well. So around town you might expect maybe 26 to 30 miles to the gallon roughly, but on a long journey, 60 miles an hour, 70 on motorways or so, you'd find that you'd probably get about 33 to 34 miles to the gallon. I have achieved 37 miles to the gallon on this, sitting at a very steady 60 for about an hour and a half, but that doesn't happen very often. So on the twistier bits of road, like the single track road here, you can obviously hear the noise intrusion into the cabin through those low profile tyres because of the rough road surface, and that's just something you have to kind of live with this car, I'm afraid. But as for handling on this kind of roads, it's amazing. For a front wheel drive car, it's more than capable. That XDS system kind of tweaks the inside wheel to grab it and pull you around corners a lot better. So the car is more than capable of cornering quite hard for a front wheel drive car. If you do accelerate hard in first and second gear, sadly in these kind of cars, they do have this thing called wheel hop, which is where the wheels scrabble for grip and the whole car kind of bumps and inside the interior shakes because of this vibrations through the car. But higher gears like third, fourth, fifth, there's no issue at all. But overall though, a really capable car on the twisty stuff and more than comfy enough out on the main road as well. So what's my verdict overall on the Seat Leon CUPRA R? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you go right ahead and buy it? Well, I think you should obviously go right ahead and buy it. This is my car, obviously. I'm going to recommend it. I've owned it for 13 years as well. But on a serious note, these are fun cars to drive. There's plenty of power in that 2-litre engine there, whether in CUPRA or CUPRA R form, and it's easily tunable as well. Fair enough, the interior quality might not be up to the same standards as maybe a Mark III Leon or the equivalent Mark V Golf back in the day, but you kind of pay for what you get in this sense, so you get value for money when you buy the car. It's a very capable hot hatch indeed, and if you buy a clean one of these CUPRA R versions, they're getting rarer now, so the value will only just go up. Of course, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you want to catch more videos from the channel in future. I don't usually do car reviews, I just thought it'd be a good fun take to do a Leon CUPRA R video in the CARWOW style. Respect to Matt Watson and the team at CARWOW for what they do. Like I said, I'll leave links to their stuff down below in the description. Thanks again for watching, catch you later, cheers.